What's up, guys? Peter Valley here. Listen, in this video, I'm going to cover something I've actually done like a 180 on in the last 6 weeks or so. It was something that previously I was like kind of open to, but now I'm actually an evangelist for, and we're talking specifically about cash buyback sites. It's something most Amazon sellers go, why would I sell something to a cash buyback site when I can get more selling it myself, which is true, but there are some exceptions. I'm going to get into this. I'm specifically going to get into an app that I want every single one of you to download on your phone that I did not have on my phone until 6 weeks ago, that now I can't live without, and it's totally free, and I'm not getting paid for this and all that stuff. Okay, so what are we going to cover here? Number one, what are book buyback sites, and should you ever use them? The answer is yes, sometimes. Number two, I'm going to cover every buyback site there is. There's only like a few of them, so that'll take 10 seconds. And then lastly, I'm going to cover the one that matters the most, the best cash buyback app that we should all have on our phones starting right now. Okay, so what are cash buyback sites? Very, very simple. They pay you cash for your books. So basically, you scan a barcode or you enter an ISBN into one of these cash buyback sites. I'm talking about the websites right now. We'll get to the apps in a second. And they say, okay, based on our algorithm, at this particular moment, we're going to pay you $3 for this book. And if you click, okay, I want to sell you this book, that price is locked in. They give you a free shipping label. So you ship the book to them. And then when the book arrives, you get the money deposited to you, whether it's usually via PayPal or it could be other means, okay? So key details here, they do offer free shipping. Everyone I've worked with offers free shipping. Usually they have some kind of minimum. So it's like if you get a book that's 50 cents, they're not going to pay you to ship them a 50-cent book. Like there might be a minimum of like $8, $10. There's various prices. But you have to accumulate a certain amount. Once you hit that amount, they give you free shipping. You ship the books to them, they get paid. And the price is locked in. That's a key detail. So, and there's over 30 of them. So a lot of people don't know that. There's actually over 30 cash buyback sites, and they all offer different prices. Trick is to find the one that's offering the highest price for a particular book. We'll get to that in a second. But the question probably everyone, at least every like seasoned Amazon seller is asking right now is like, why would you ever send a book to a cash buyback site if you can inherently get more selling the book yourself, which is true. I'm going to list you the reasons when it makes sense to sell a book to a cash buyback site versus selling it yourself. Number one, you have books that are restricted. And restrictions are a fluid thing, right? So it's not like you're restricted for a book, selling a book forever. But if some books you are, like in other words, like textbooks from like some of the bigger publishers, like there's some books that like very few sellers are allowed to sell. So if you're confident you're never going to be allowed to sell a book, or if you just don't want to wait, you can sell a restricted book to a cash buyback site. That is a fantastic use for these sites. And specifically this app I'm about to show you. Number two, books that have low Amazon value. So let's just say you're not willing to sell a book for less than $12 or $11. And you've got a bunch of books that are, as you know, it happens, prices change, or you're buying wholesale, you're buying like a bulk lot, and you take like the 1/3 of 1% of books that you want to sell yourself. You got 99.97% of books you don't want to sell. Cash buyback sites can save the day here. Because if it's a book that maybe is only selling for like $8 FBA, there might be a cash buyback site that's willing to offer like 30 cents for it. And that 30 cents can add up, especially if you're dealing with thousands of books. Or it could just be if you're not a big seller and you're not buying wholesale, you're not buying bulk, and it's like, hey, you brought home 100 books this week, and it turns out you made a couple mistakes, and so there's like 3 books that may be selling for less than your minimum threshold. Maybe they're selling for $10, your threshold's 11 or whatever. And you're like, all right, cool. And you can just put those books aside and wait for them to pile up, because we all make buying mistakes, right? Wait for them to pile up, and then when you got a big mass in your closet, you can just go and just trade them all into a cash buyback site, ship them off in one box, and get, $60 or whatever the case may be. So that's an example. Another situation where cash buyback sites are awesome is if you're desperate. Okay. Now, fortunately, I've not been in this situation for a very long time, but I do remember what it's like to be desperate, and I remember what it's like to maybe I can't wait until I get a next sale because I have some things I need to pay for right now, right? So like, maybe you got a book and like maybe the rank's not great and you're like, I might sit on this for 6 months. I'd rather just take, $3 now than $25 in 6 months. And so if you do the math, you're like, hey, that's the trade-off I'm willing to make, then cash buyback sites can be a fantastic resource. So those are the 3 situations. If there's more, feel free to jump in the comments, but I think I covered the 3 situations where they actually make sense. Okay, so before we get to the apps and all that, let me tell you my history with these sites, because some of you who have followed me for a while might be kind of confused right now, because I'm making it sound like I just had this epiphany about buyback sites, but actually I wrote an entire book about these like 7 years ago or something. So like so I understand so let me explain. I didn't just wake up to buyback sites. I didn't really mean to indicate that. So going way back, Like most Amazon sellers, I was very dismissive of cash buyback sites from the beginning. Then one day I get an email from a reader of FBA Mastery who sent me a link and said, hey, Peter, look at this video. This is interesting. Tell me what you think about this. And I clicked on it. Very crude video, and it's a screen share. And he's like, hey, here's how I go on Amazon and I find Amazon trade-in values that are higher than what I can pay for the books elsewhere. So I'll buy, this guy's describing how to buy a book for $8 and then trade it into Amazon for $9. And he gets $9 in Amazon credit, but he spent $8. And he had this whole, this wasn't really like an elaborate system, but he's talking about like going to like, bookfinder.com and then like finding like the lowest price on the internet and like buying a book and then trade. This is when Amazon had a trade-in program. They don't anymore, by the way, just to be clear. But so this video, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but I'll never do that. I don't want to sit on a computer all day for $1, but like, that's kind of cool. So fast forward a few months, I was doing my very first live presentation ever, like ever. I'd never spoken in front of an audience, like ever. So it was a live webinar. I was calling it online book arbitrage. And I was teaching the system that I developed. It was like this free webinar. And I was like, I wasn't like nervous because it's not like speaking in front of an auditorium or something, but I was like, I want this to be good. So I'm like, I want to fill out like a good 45 minutes of really useful content. So I remember that trade-in video. I was like, oh, this kind of fits into the subject of online book arbitrage. Let me just like go watch that video again and kind of like teach that guy's system. And like, I didn't pass it off on my own. I was like, oh, here's this thing I heard about. And I put it in the webinar and that was that. So something interesting happened at that point. And I don't know for sure what happened, but I think there were some very shady characters that were on that webinar. Because that webinar had like, I was shocked. There was like 900 people on the webinar or something. And I think there were some very suspicious characters because very shortly after that, a couple guys launched a trade-in arbitrage tool that, in my opinion, did not work very well. But it was a tool that basically automated what that person in that video, what I learned from them and what I taught in the webinar. So either these shady characters, and I'll tell you why they're shady in a second, either these shady characters were on my webinar or they stumbled upon that video with 90 views. Probably they were on my webinar. And they then sort of took the idea and made a tool out of it, which in and of itself is fine. The tool didn't really work, and it was like and they did a bunch of shady stuff. They proceeded to basically copy everything I did. They like copied, I had an online book arbitrage tool, they copied that, and they did a bunch of weird shady stuff, and basically all their customers came to me. But anyway, point is, when they started copying everything I was doing, I was like, I'm going to copy everything they're doing. So I decided to copy their trade-in tool and make it better. And in order to make it better, I had to like really study trade-in and book buyback sites. I'm using those interchangeably, by the way. I had to study cash buyback sites. And if I was going to make a tool that really automated the process and really like did a really good job, I really wanted to understand that world, that practice of selling buyback sites. So what I learned was actually pretty encouraging. I was actually feel like I was kind of slept on the subject for a long time. And I realized there actually is a lot of opportunity in this. And so I then wrote a whole book about what I learned. And the book's long out of print. But the point is, for a minute there was like making videos and teaching this stuff. A lot of things changed in the Amazon landscape, like Amazon took away their trade-in program, like the tool after a few years like wasn't quite working. I feel like the opportunity was getting siphoned off too fast, and like the opportunities just weren't there anymore. So I kind of just quietly like sunset that whole thing. And I haven't talked about it in a long time. So that's my history, and my position then is my position now, which is that cash buyback sites are good in a very, very narrow set of circumstances. And 99.9% of the time, you should be selling the book yourself for its true value. Does that make sense? Okay, let's move on. So here are the cash buyback sites that I'm aware of. I think this is pretty much all of them. I think there's only 3. And actually 4. The best one I'll get to in a second. But these are the 3 that I'm going to recommend you do not install. So we don't need to spend any time on this. There's one called World of Books, one called Books Run, one called Campus Books. And the good news is you don't need any of these because the app I'm about to show you, which I'm not getting paid for, I swear, I just think it's cool, scans all of actually it scans the first 2, not the third one. And the third one, it's like you're basically getting 99% of all the cash buyback sites that are being aggregated, or 97 or whatever, in the app I'm about to show you. So you don't need these other ones because this one scans every site. It's kind of like like what Trivago is to hotels is what this app is to buyback sites. Okay, so with that said, the app is BookScouter. What it does, it scans over 30 cash buyback sites, gives you the highest value ranking from top to bottom, highest value to the lowest value. So you know your options. So you can see here, I did a scan on the left here, the app. This is the desktop version on the right. But the app is, I scanned my book, okay, Reselling for Rebels, and there is a cash buyback site offering 81 cents So if you bought my book and you're sorely disappointed and you regret the purchase, you can sell it to Books Run, and they will pay you 81 cents for your raggedy copy of my dumb book. And then it looks like World of Books is offering 35 cents, and then no one else is willing to buy my book. So anyway, that's just my book. But the average book that has like reasonable demand, you're gonna have cash buyback offers from like literally a couple dozen sites. So you see this biology textbook right here. I don't know if I'm kind of obscuring it, but they're offering $99 for this book if you ship it to them. And again, if you sold this on Amazon, I think the value is like 210 or something. So you can see how the buyback value is always less than what you could sell for. That's inherent. But again, there's a place, right? And so it's very cool. So basically what I recommend you do is have this app on your phone. And if you're in a situation where it could be like maybe there's a book you're on the fence about, like let's say you're outsourcing and you come across a book, and this probably happens all the time. You come across a book and the rank is like 5 or 6 million or something. So it's kind of like in that zone where it makes you a little bit uncomfortable, and the profit maybe is only $10. And you're thinking, all right, well, I might buy this if the profit was like 20 but not 10, but there's a buyback site that's paying you $2 for it. And that might be a situation where you're like, you know what, this book's only 50 cents. It's literally a free $1.50. And so I'm just going to throw it in my cart and take it and trade it in. Another example could be situations where there's free books, right? And you can encounter these in numerous different places. The books are free, the profit's really not that good, or the rank is really bad, but you've got 100 of these books in front of you, maybe 20 of them have buyback value, and altogether it adds up to $30. And so you wouldn't buy these books individually, but together it actually makes sense. What I use it for personally is when I buy in bulk, or if I make purchasing mistakes, I'll just kind of have that pile of like stuff I'm not going to sell on Amazon. And the last 6 weeks I've been scanning the piles through BookScouter and shipping books off to BookScouter or to whoever the buyback site is. So that can really add up. It can really, really add up. Like I'm not going to say this is huge. Like I probably made, I don't even know, like $80 or something like that. It's not like huge, but again, it's something, right? And it's free money. It's like actually free money, because I'm assuming these are books you would never sell otherwise, right? So it actually, in that sense, is free money. So I kind of already explained this, but just to be really clear, you scan the book, you lock in the price. I want to emphasize that, because that was a part that I didn't really get at first. Like I was like, well, what if I decide to ship a book in, but then the price changes? Like, no, that price is locked in. Then you ship it to them, the buyback site rather, and then you just get paid. Simple as that. Okay, so you guys, let's recap. When is BookScouter useful? Number 1, when you're restricted from selling a book. Number 2, books with low Amazon value that you would not sell yourself otherwise. Number 3, if you just simply need money fast. Okay, you guys, you have a 4-part mission. Are you ready? Mission number 1, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Mission number 2, and do that right now. Like actually just hit the subscribe button, like literally right now. Why not? Free. You can build a whole business off of what I give away for free, so just do it. Number 2, head to fbamastery.com. I'm going to put a link below this video. Speaking of being able to build a whole business off of what I give away for free, the best way to do that is to get all of the material you see here. Literally, it's over 600 pages of free material you can download instantly at fbamastery.com. Free ebooks, free guides, free everything. fbamastery.com, link below this video. Number 3, you guys need a repricing tool. You need one desperately. Every Amazon seller needs one. Okay, I built the best one. It's called NeuroPrice. We are the only repricer in the world that can actually raise your prices in a meaningful way. We're the only repricer that has no pricing blind spots. I truly wanted to do something innovative when it came to repricing. I didn't just build another repricer. I built a truly unique repricer. 14-day free trial, neuroprice.io, also linked below this. And lastly, take what you learned in this video and make money with it. Specifically, go download BookScouter right now. Again, it can't hurt to just have it on your phone. Trust me, you will be using it once it's on your phone. Once it's on your phone, you'll be using it. So I would say the way to make money with this right now, go download BookScouter, have it on your phone, and then go to your closet where you keep all your duds, or next time you have a mountain of books you're not going to sell, start scanning them with BookScouter, and I think you'll be really pleased with the results. Thank you guys so much. This is Peter Valley signing off, and I'll see you in the next video.